Broadcasting live from Benoit Blanc's bathing hat, this is Pop Culture Reference, your one-stop reference for all things pop culture. I'm one of your hosts, Seamus Connolly.
And I'm Garrett Strada.
I do declare, ooh, that's like the only thing I say in that voice is I do declare, that I drop it.
Well, Seamus, it's because you're really good at it, and that's it's seamless.
It's the master class.
And you can't even tell that you're not actually Southern, I don't think. And we are back after our hiatus. Happy 2023. I am so glad to be back on the mic talking about Glass Onion, which feels like it's been out for 10 years.
Yeah, it felt like when I was dying and sick and I couldn't go to the movies, it was in the theaters for a second, and then now it's felt like it's been out for a year now.
Because it dropped on Netflix the 23rd of December, so almost a month ago by the time this episode comes out. I'm very excited to talk about it. I've seen it 3 times now, so I feel like I've processed it a lot, which is not an advantage that we had during our talk about Knives Out back in the day.
Yeah, very true. And I will say before we get too far into it, I think maybe a couple rewatches are necessary for Glass Onion. It really goes off the walls.
And I'm very excited to get into it, especially because we actually don't have any news Whoa!
Oh, good God. 2023 isn't safe. It's not safe.
Warner warning!
Oh, blaring in our ears once again. Welcome back, folks. My God.
Man, well, this is actually our only piece of news this week, and it's a pretty tame Warner warning, which is simply that HBO Max will be raising its price $1 whole for the first time since its launch to $15.99 a month, which is frankly an insane price for a streaming service. I think that's a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Considering the fact that other than Netflix, it was already the most expensive.
Yeah, they caught wind of critics really going for the Last of Us series, and they're like, now is the time. People will forget. They'll love the show, and we could just pull a fast one. But man, $15.99. That's not nothing. That's damn hefty.
We wouldn't normally cover something like this, but the fact that it's coming right now, when HBO and their parent company Warner Brothers Discovery are making so many bad decisions, specifically regarding this streaming service, the fact that they would spit in their consumer's face and then also charge them an extra $1.
Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow here, because I used to think that HBO Max, and maybe this is Battle of the Streaming Services talk, we keep teasing that over and over, but
I think we're waiting till the dust settles on this.
That is true. But I really like HBO Max, or I like a lot of their content that's on there that hasn't been pulled off yet, and so much of this is just souring me on everything that HBO Max has to offer. I'm still very excited about, some of the stuff that's upcoming, and there are a few things left that I still enjoy on HBO Max, but this extra $1 is a slap in the face, if nothing else.
It's fitting, just like you said, 2023, we're going strong. It's fitting that this is our first news of the year, I think.
When we started the Warner warning, we knew that it wasn't going to end anytime soon, but man, it feels like it's just ramping up more and more every week, man. Me and you, we're going to be back getting our eardrums blown out.
Well, better a Warner warning than an hourly dong, Seamus.
Very true, very true. But with that, what do you say we jump into our main segment, Glass Onion?
Please, I'm so excited to talk about it.
For today's main segment, we are covering the pretty newly streaming Rian Johnson's Glass Onion, a Knives Out Star Wars story. What is it? It's Knives Out.
Onion. No, it's not Knives Out, a Glass Onion mystery. It's the other thing. It's a mystery, a Glass Onion, Knives Out.
Featuring Benoit Blanc.
Seamus, it's been a long time coming. You and I both love Knives Out. It's one of the first things we covered for this podcast. Hype was pretty big for this one. Expectations were set pretty high, I think, for both of us. How did Glass Onion fare for you? You and I actually have not talked about this at all.
Yeah, I guess we really, really haven't. We've been saving it all up. I really enjoyed Glass Onion. It was absolutely bonkers. More somehow more insane than Knives Out, which was already all over the place and pulling a million threads at once. But this was truly, I had to like sit forward in my chair to gather all of the information going down. I thought it was very funny. I thought it was very well written, and all of the performances of this ensemble cast are killing it. And that's not just because I am a huge Batista stan now, even though he did wonderfully as well. But what are you thinking about Glass Onion? You definitely got more viewings than I did, and you actually got to see it in the theater. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm glad you brought up the theater thing, because it's definitely a shame that Netflix only decided to put this out for a week. We talked about this on the show before, that it was a bad idea, and this movie plays really, really well with an audience, and actually I think there is some humor and some moments in this movie that don't play as well at home, and I think that's a real shame that more people didn't get to experience it in the way that most filmmakers craft their films to be watched.
When I was watching it with my family and we all, were reacting real big, it was a great time, but I thought about how it wouldn't even have to be a packed theater, just some other a decent crowd to react and laugh at all of the tiny little funny moments in there. I feel like that would have plussed it up a lot, but as it stands, as a streaming experience, I still thought it was a great time, as long as you have some people to look at in surprise when reveals go down.
And overall, it really is a great time, whether you're watching it in the theater or on your couch. I think it's very, very tonally different from the first Knives Out, but it still has that connective tissue. And that's not just Daniel Craig. There's a very specific way of writing. I think that Rian Johnson has a very distinct voice for these movies. It's not like it feels exactly like Last Jedi or Looper or anything like that. They feel like these Benoit Blanc mysteries, much in the same way that Agatha Christie's novels all feel the same, even though they're set in all of these wildly different, on the Orient Express or on the Nile, and I'm just listing Kenneth Branagh movies, but you get the idea.
Yes. I don't know if I would put this one above Knives Out, the original. I feel like that would be pretty hard to top in any capacity, but I thought it stacked up wonderfully, and like you're saying, that it felt like it was a Knives Out mystery. It really did feel like that, and I'm excited for more of Rian Johnson's work under that Knives Out title, because he's really got something special.
I think in some capacities it actually does exceed Knives Out. But some of the character work that we'll get into in spoilers is a lot stronger in Knives Out. And also just the vibe is hard to beat. That
yes, yeah.
That old autumnal Thanksgiving oranges and browns.
Yeah, everything is made out of fancy wood in this big mansion that a lot of it takes place in. It's great.
And not to say that this new Grecian setting isn't really fun and that I have a really good time with it, but it doesn't appeal to me the same way, for whatever reason, on film especially. I think we'll get a little bit more into that kind of stuff in spoilers, but yeah, I agree with you that ultimately, it's right there. It's a different enough experience that it doesn't have to be better than Knives Out to be satisfying, which is, I think, the goal.
Yeah, it meets exactly what it's trying to do, and what it's trying to do is a lot of fun, and I definitely want to get a couple more rewatches under my belt, probably with a few new people involved to watch with, because there's a lot more reveals, I feel, in this one, or at least a little more rapid developments in a lot of smaller, more significant ways, and I very much enjoyed the entire movie. It felt a little long. I know Knives Out wasn't a short movie by any means, but it definitely makes that long runtime feel worth it. The way they structure the acts and the reveals within flashbacks and in all the extended ways that they make it feel like a lot meatier, even though it takes place over like a couple hours, I want to say, in the time that the mystery is happening.
I don't think the pacing of this one is as strong as the pacing of Knives Out. Knives Out, they do this thing where they front load all the exposition, and it's while you're getting to know the characters, and I think that feels really smooth and clean, and Johnson's filmmaking is strong enough to make it go down really easy. But in this one, they kind of save a lot of that expositional stuff for the middle of the second act.
Yeah.
There's this moment where the film kind of slams to a halt a little bit and backtracks some. But we'll get into that more in spoilers.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful cast. You've already alluded to that.
Yes.
It feels like we've been, much like Matt Reeves' The Batman, talking about this person is in the Knives Out too. This person is in the Knives Out too. But Kate Hudson, Catherine Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr., Dave Bautista, Edward Norton, Jessica Henwick, Madeline Klein, Noah Segan, Janelle Monáe, who I almost somehow left off that list.
I was gonna catch you, don't worry.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad to hear that. Did you have a favorite performance without getting too much into the spoilers of it all?
I loved Edward Norton, of course. He plays a tremendous jerk in so many of his roles. He's very good at that, and I think that is for a good reason. But Janelle Monáe absolutely destroys in this movie, and I won't get into the more complicated nature of her role, but I think she did great with the more nuanced things that she had to do that do get revealed a lot later in the movie and explain a lot of her behavior. I just thought she was great, especially when you get past that second act and you get to see a little more of her bouncing off of characters in a way that you haven't been used to in the entire movie. I thought she was fabulous, and I will always love Dave Bautista. He makes me laugh, and I want to see him in a lot more stuff. I know he's doing like 2 other movies right now, and he's already very public about the expansion of his career past Drax and Marvel, and how he wants to have a bigger impact on the Hollywood landscape. But in this goofy mystery comedy, he's killing it.
And that's what I love about Bautista. It feels like since the second he has had the opportunity to widen his career, he has.
Yeah.
He did Guardians, and then immediately he was in a Bond movie, and he was in Blade Runner, and he was doing all of these different kinds of films. And sure, they've been predominantly action-oriented, but there's still very different tones, and he's playing very different characters in them, and I'm excited, I agree, to see him continue to expand that, because he was a real standout in this. He is so funny.
One of the only reasons I want to see that new M. Night Shyamalan movie is because he is one of the leads.
100%. Yeah, I'm not interested, really, but I will see it for him, probably.
Me and you will find a time to watch a probably not very good movie and praise the one good part in it.
That's a Shyamalan for you, I suppose.
Except for like 1 or 2 of them, maybe.
I think overall, if you like Knives Out, you will like Glass Onion. I don't think that anybody that didn't like Knives Out is gonna like Glass Onion. I don't think it's that different.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that.
It's playing by very similar rules. It has this kind of, it's a pop movie, and I don't mean that derogatorily, because Johnson is excellent at keeping an audience entertained and having fun with an audience.